My name's Jacky Logan. Some people will know me as Jackie Appleton because I've got civil partnered in the last couple of years. And I've lived in Walthamstow, I think, for over 20... it's about 30 years now, actually. I came to Waltham Forest when I finished my teacher training when I was 21. And I am now 54. So actually, what's that? 33 years, in fact. There you go. So it's more than 20 years. I came out in 1985, 86, all around the Walthamstow area. And the first group that I attended as a lesbian in Waltham Forest was at the Waltham Forest Women's Centre, which I think was started around about 1984 or 85. And they had a consciousness raising group, as was very popular in the 80s. And, you know, we used to sit around and talk about how we felt about being lesbians and, you know, what we're... A lot of the debate was about politics at the time, and a lot of debate around race issues and around all sorts of separatists. That was a big topic at the time. You know, whether you were a separatist lesbian or whether you were, you know, mixing in with the community. So those were the kind of big issues at the time, and you know, we went on pride marches together and so on. At that time I was working for Hackney Libraries, and I was involved in one of the very first exhibitions that they did about being lesbian and gay in Hackney. It was a big initiative at the time. Basically what they asked all the council departments to have a stall in Stoke Newington Town Hall, and to show what the services they were running for lesbian and gay men. And so I organised the library stall and organised information to show people where you could get things and so on. So I was reasonably politically active with a small p, really. And I suppose the other area that I you know, was involved in a lot was DJing and running benefits for lesbian and gay causes. What did I do? I DJ'd at the London Lesbian and Gay Centre, which some people will remember who are my age. And I remember doing benefits for the miners' strikes and all sorts of things. I also used to run a club in central London at the Central Club Hotel called Vita's. Actually, I didn't run it, I DJ'd for it, but we used to get women from all over the place coming, and I played music from... I've always specialised in my DJing, not just current music. I've always specialised in, you know, music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, retro, I suppose they call it, but they didn't call it retro then. That's a more recent term, I'd say. So, you know, and then I got interested in ballroom and Latin dancing, because at the Lesbian and Gay Centre, London Lesbian and Gay Centre, it's based in Farringdon, Calcross Street, I think. They used to run some classes for lesbians and gay men to go and learn how to ballroom and Latin dance. And so I went to the class with my friend, and that was a whole new life for me, basically. I think that was around about 1987 or 88. And I've never looked back since. So that really became my main hobby. And then after I'd been to the classes for about a year, because I already was a DJ and because I already had a bit of interest in the old music, you know, from the 30s and 40s, from my parents, they used to listen to that music quite a lot. So I then teamed up with Ralph Schiller, who was the teacher at the London Lesbian and Gay Centre. He's just celebrated 20 years of lesbian and gay dance classes. So it must have been 20 years ago that I went to those classes in the first place. And so I teamed up with him, and after the public house, the Bell, was closed in King's Cross, that's where we used to do our dancing, we set up the Pink Jukebox, which is a club for lesbian and gay men to go and learn how to do ballroom dancing, and also it's just a great social. It's a great social place to meet people and get some kind of close contact with people, even though you don't know them that well, and also learn a skill and share something. You know, at that time there wasn't much more than clubs, you know, like disco clubs and things like that. So people found it quite refreshing to come to that sort of thing. So we started the Pink Jukebox there. Pink Jukebox is a dance club, and we started at Central Club Hotel in centre of town. We then lost that venue, so we moved to the Grafton Hotel, which is at the top of Tottenham Court Road. We then lost that venue, and so we moved to Auberge Restaurant, which is just opposite London Bridge. And we held our Pink Jukebox in the basement of the restaurant for a while. Then we lost that venue, because that happens with a lot of venues, really. And where did we go? We went to the Loom Bar, which is in just off Portland Place, for a while. But now we have a fantastic venue, and in fact it's taken us right back to where we started, or where I started, and where I very first came out, which is number 4 Wild Court. The venue is called La Cantina, and it's just opposite Holborn Tube. But actually, the venue where we are used to be the London Women's Centre. And it was a huge centre that they set up for women. It was a time, you know, when Ken Livingstone first came into power, and we used to go there for conferences and for some dancing, and so it's very, very strange to walk into that venue, and we're holding our club there now. And it's actually quite a big part of my history, you know, to be in that building. And quite often I say to people, oh, why don't you come to the Pink Jukebox? It's the old London Women's Centre. And they go, oh, is it? You know, so it's quite interesting how things come round full circle. What can I tell you about? I've gone a blank. I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing in libraries as well, because it's particularly relevant to East London. I've worked in a number of library authorities, most of them around East London. So I started in Hackney Library Authority, then I worked in Newham, the London Borough of Newham, and now I work for Havering Library Authority, and I also work for Waltham Forest Library Authority. I'm a supervisor in one of the libraries, and I've always been involved in trying to get lesbian and gay events going in those libraries. So right back to the sort of late 80s, we had events. We had lesbian and gay events with Jacky Kay and Sarah Waters. They were quite new lesbian authors at the time. And then more recently, when I was working in Stratford, we did an event for the history of dance. So I also belong to a dance troupe called the Pink Dancers, and that's also been going nearly 20 years now, and I've been a member probably about 18 years. And so I go off every Friday night to my rehearsal. We practice and we do various performances. So when I set up this event in Stratford, I did a little history and took my folders along of the dance movement, the lesbian and gay dance movement in England. And then the Pink Dancers did a little demonstration, and then we got people up to to join in the dancing. Because one of the things I'm really interested in is making the dancing more accessible for lesbians, gay men, getting them to find out about it. Quite often people say, oh no, I've got 2 left feet, I can't dance. And I say, well, come on, give it a try. And I always say to them, you have to come 3 times. The first time you feel really quite stupid. The second time you feel a little bit less stupid, and you start to get the feel for it. And the third time you go, oh, I can cha-cha. So, you know, it's... and then more and more, the Pink Jukebox at the moment, we've got more and more new people coming along who just want to do something social where you can chat to people, and we move around. You know, we move around in the teaching and in the dancing all the time. So you're always dancing with someone different. You get to know people. It's a great thing, and I've really sort of dedicated the last 15 years, I suppose, to promoting it and getting people to get involved. So I've always been interested in dance and theatre. You know, I used to do amateur shows and things, performed. You know, I was a member of Chingford Amateur Dramatic and Operatic Society, CADOS. Well, I'm still a member of them, but I don't really do the shows now. But that was also happening in Chingford. So I was in cabaret, and I did 1 or 2 other South Pacific. I don't know, all those shows that amateur people do. And I did learn to tap dance and things there. And actually, when I first came out, I didn't really know how to. I didn't have much of the feeling for the dancing. So, you know, all the clubs and everything I've been to really made me interested in any kind of dance. I love any kind of dance, you know. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yes, I was saying about the Pink Dancers and going off each week to perform, and then we performed in Stratford. I suppose I should say a little bit about my involvement with Pink Dancers as well, because that's quite an interesting little piece of history. When I was DJing, I was asked to DJ for the Labour Party conference. I can't remember the year, but it was the year that before Tony Blair got into power, and it was the year that he got into power. So there was the Labour Party conference, and then he became the Prime Minister. But they decided, in conjunction with Stonewall, I've done quite a lot of work with Stonewall as well. I DJ'd for their equality dances, the very first equality dances they ever did. I was the DJ. I remember being on the stage with Neil Tennant and various other people. But I've always done quite a lot to support those organisations. But anyway, with Stonewall, they decided to put on a gay night as part of the Labour Party conference, because they had an Irish night and a Caribbean night, and they decided to do a gay night. And it got lots of interest in the press. And I was the DJ, and the Pink Dancers were performing there. And so I did the DJ, and the Pink Dancers did the performance. Lo and behold, the next day, in the it was the Evening Standard, I think. There's a big picture of the Pink Dancers, 2 of the Pink Dancers, particularly with a rose in between their teeth, and just there actually. They, it was all over the press. You know, it was all over the national press. So that was. I felt quite proud to be part of that. But they haven't done one since. So I don't know. But that was quite a nice thing to do. As part of my I guess locally I'm known quite well, because people ask me to DJ, or they come to me if they want the Pink Dancers to perform, or if they want to do some kind of dance event. Again, connected with libraries. Last year at Chingford Library, we put on an event which was inviting lesbian and gay people to come and learn how to dance there. So we had a little taster session.